serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Well, I've said this many times before to most people I chat to. I'm only partially educated. So that gives me sort of a little leeway to ask and suggest naive questions that are... I research everyone that I speak to, but sometimes you can be too over-researched and you lose the thread of who you're speaking to because you know what they might be on about or what they're going to say. I like to just do it vaguely off the top of my head. As a result, this person was suggested to me by a friend that I should have a chat to her. And I've looked at some material that she provided because I couldn't find it on the Wikipedia or whatever. And this is, I'm just telling you this now, this is so out of my depth, but this doesn't matter. I'm going to ask some questions about what I think might be this is about and who this person is I'm speaking to. So firstly, I really appreciate you coming in. This is Doctor. That's right, isn't it?
I wouldn't call me doctor yet. I haven't finished my studies.
Well, I'm calling you Doctor. And I'll tell you why I'm calling you Doctor. I'm calling you Doc because your name is, let me get this, Ghazak al-Khazali.
Fabulous.
Ghazak al-Khazali.
And
thank you, Doctor. I'm calling you Doctor. I don't want you to be disbarred before you actually do get registered as a doctor, and they'll say, why is he calling you a doctor? Did you say you were a doctor and you're not qualified? No, I'm calling you Doctor, or Gigi. And the doc is a refugee. Now, tell me if I get any of this wrong. The doc is a refugee from Iraq.
Correct.
She came over here, escaped the Saddam Hussein regime, I think, before the President George Bush decided that there were weapons of mass destruction there, and they bombed the joint when there was no weapons of mass destruction anywhere, and it all turned to when it just turned into mayhem, and they eventually killed Saddam Hussein along with Yasser Arafat from Libya, and then just Assad in Syria, and the whole, it's a tinderbox right over there in the Middle East. And so you escaped, as I understand, immigrated over here with you and your family, did you not, Dr. Gigi?
Correct. So a lot has happened. I'm here to spread a message. I don't know if you remember that we talked about the 4-star general, his name just slipped my mind, Wesley something.
Westmoreland? Who?
No, the one in the document that I mentioned. What was his name?
Wesley,
yeah. He was a 4-star general that came forward and basically
a 4-star general. What did he come forward to do?
Do you want to open up the document? Because it's in the document. His name has just slipped my mind. Anyway, he was a 4-star general, now retired, and he was at the Pentagon. This was around about 2000 and around 9/11, right?
Yep.
Right around when
2001,
9/11
yep.
2001, right? And he was at the Pentagon, and a person came down from the Pentagon, and he was like to him, well, we're going to war with Iraq because we believe that they, that's just what we're going to do because we don't know what else to do, and they're just going to blame it all on
Speak into that microphone, please.
They're all just going to blame it on all the Arabs and the Muslims, right? Because it's
going to blame what on the Arabs and the Muslims?
9/11.
Yes, the 9/11, that's right. There was a lot of conspiracy theories about that, wasn't there?
Correct.
They said the United States even organised it. And
Absolutely.
the United Arab Emirates were in on it. And the man who owns the building, 2 buildings, the Jewish man knew it was going to happen.
Absolutely.
And he insured it to the hilt and then vacated the state.
Absolutely. They're not conspiracy theories when it all adds up, doesn't it?
No, a conspiracy theory is only a theory that people don't want you to put in case the truth is found out, and then they say, oh, it's misinformation or disinformation.
Yes.
And that's where we're up to in the world today. People saying that everything that doesn't agree with what you say, not you, Doctor, but anything that is a conspiracy theory.
Yes, exactly. And that's the biggest problem we have nowadays.
So
is that
don't get ahead of me, Doc. You came over here, and not the only just 4-star general I know is Norman Schwarzkopf, who was part of the invasion when America invaded Iraq for the Desert Storm War. But
That's right.
But that's well before 2001.
That's right. That's right.
Anyhow, so you're saying the 4-star general has a theory about what are you mentioning him for?
So he spoke to someone, and he wouldn't name this person, and he had come downstairs when he was at the Pentagon, and he said, "We're going to war, and this is our plan." And he put a plan forward, and people can look this up. The plan was to basically invade Iraq,
Yes.
Yemen, Lebanon, Iran, Syria, and there's 7 countries. There's 2 more that I've
Libya.
just... Libya. There was another one, just slipped my
Iraq,
mind.
Iran,
Lebanon.
Lebanon, and I don't know, Europe. So this was an excuse, the weapons of mass destruction,
Correct.
was it?
It was an
to have dominance in the Middle East.
That's right, to have a dominance in the Middle East, but also to establish a base there. So they wanted to infiltrate the Middle East because the Middle East is one of the few places around the world, which I'm sure you understand, just like Africa, just like Asia. Asia took a turn as well. Africa took a turn. Unfortunate there what's happening. They wanted to divide people because they operate on greed, power, and manipulation.
Yes.
And when they operate on
instability
greed
is
and
what their aim
instability,
is to.
absolutely, to divide the people,
Yes.
to divide the people. Now, if you look at all of
With
these
a view
places,
to domination.
yes,
Doc.
yes, correct. So if you look at all of these places, the thing that unites all of these places, whether it's in Africa, Asia, the indigenous people, tribes here in Australia, in the Middle East, all of these people live in such immense diversity, but they're united. And the thing that unites them is respect, value, all of the core values of humanity.
Now, I don't take issue with that. I don't know how you can say that everyone is living in harmony or wishes to when you have irresponsible, corrupt, and dishonest regimes which perpetrate in the name of religion.
Wesley Clark. That was his
Wesley
name. Wesley Clark,
I've
right?
heard of Wesley Clark.
Yes,
Yes,
Wesley
yep.
Clark. So they sorry, it's just come back to mind.
That's
so
all right. That's
they
okay.
took out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq, followed by Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Iran is their finishing touch,
Yeah.
right? Now, this broader imperial agenda is just to destabilize the key regions for strategic and economic control.
Righto, they want their oil and they want their minerals and they want
Absolutely.
the wealth that makes.
Yes, exploitation
No, I
for
understand
division,
all
for
that.
power and profit.
I understand all that, Doc, but but you cannot have. It's a great principle and it's a great theoretical principle, living in harmony. But the government, the people that run these countries are like that run these countries have no. You just look at Hezbollah, and
Correct.
You look at Hezbollah and Hamas and Israel. They have no. They do. They say they have an interest in living in harmony, but it's that they will not concede anything in the name of religion or territory.
That's correct.
And so
That's
how
correct. Okay,
this
so
is
let's
a
imagine.
theoretical
That's correct.
wish to
That's
live in
correct,
harmony.
to
Of
live in
course,
harmony.
everyone wants to live in harmony.
That's right. But you know what it starts with? It starts with each and every one of us. Each and every one of us. Let's say, Sam, just sit back and imagine with me right now.
I will.
You go on a walk on a morning or a Sunday afternoon, whatever it is, you go on a walk, right? Person passes you by, a few people pass you by, some kids playing on the street. Do you ever say hello? Do you ever greet them? Do you ever say hello?
Well, as a matter of fact, sometimes I do, but sometimes I do because don't take this the wrong way, Doc.
Yeah.
A lot of people know in my little world here.
Yeah.
A lot of people know who I am, and
Yeah.
they say hello to me, and I say
I love
hello
that.
back. I never ignore them.
I love that.
never ignore them.
I love that.
And very few people are abusive, and the fact that the people that don't like you never say hello to you for a start. So I
Absolutely.
say hello. I'm probably the wrong person to ask. I say hello to plenty of people because I can tell when they approach me that they would like to say hello or have a chat to me. Anyhow, so go ahead.
Absolutely. So,
But I understand where you're coming from.
yeah, so it really starts with each and every one of us. So embracing diversity, because we all are one. We're all part of a being, the creation, the omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient creator that created all of us, and we're all fractals of that light.
So that is your particular God. And this
That's
is
everyone's God.
no,
so
but,
this,
but,
this God,
but some people worship Jesus, and other people worship
that's
Allah,
right.
and other
That's
people
right.
worship
we
Buddha.
we
How
have
can you-
across the different dimensions and cultures and timelines have given this being different names, and because we've given this being different names, we think it is not the one person we're all worshipping. So if you look at the Abrahamic religions, there's 3 religions, Abrahamic religions. You've got the Torah, Christianity, the Bible, and the Quran, which is Prophet Muhammad.
Yes.
All of these religions are kind of like one of the most recent and main foundation, but they all come from the one. If you look, let's say you're God, right? Let's say you're God. Now imagine your mind, you're God. Imagine you have created perfect beings that have been led to believe they're incomplete, they're lacking, they're less than whole, they can exist in greed, in fear, in anxiety, right? Let's say you wanted to bring a message to these group of people that you're not that. You're anything but
Yes.
that. I've created you with abundance, with love, and with abundance. What are you going to do? The first thing, you're going to send them a person to tell them that. And who better to send to them than a person from their own culture, their own traditions.
Yes, a person
their
that
own
brainwashes
everything.
them into saying this is the light, this is the way, this is the path, and then the other religions and the other leaders will say, no, this is the way, this is the light,
That's
this
right.
is the path.
That's right.
You say, I wrote some of the things down.
I love
You
that.
say humanity's potential to bridge the gap between civilization and the cosmos.
Absolutely, because we're all made out of stardust. We're all made out of stardust. If you look up
Now this is
Neil
where you
deGrasse
start to
Tyson,
lose me, Doc. I'm very happy to be,
if you look at Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'm not sure if I said his name correctly, by
Who?
the way. Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's a beautiful cosmic light and being who preaches all about the
Yes.
stars,
Yep.
all about the planets, all about the cosmos and the beauty
A
of
bit
it.
like Brian Cox.
A bit like Brian Cox, yes. Brian
I
Cox
like.
I love
He's
Brian
a
Cox.
star, Brian
he
Cox.
is an absolute star. That is
He
correct.
tells you about the universe in simple, plain terms, if they can be simple and
Absolutely.
plain.
Absolutely.
And I'm a believer, Doc. There's a greater being out there. I don't know what it is, but I don't think we could be here if there's not a greater being. But this is where we get into the cosmos, and you say that the close encounters of the fifth kind, that's
Correct.
CE5.
CE5, correct. Just like Dr. Stephen Greer has mentioned and has been. Have you seen the recent release from the?
I've seen nothing, Doc.
Oh, okay.
But
we need to get you up to speed,
but
don't we?
you have either directly or indirectly co-joined Dr. Greer in
Absolutely.
his
And
philosophy.
his message, yes, absolutely.
And his philosophy is that the cosmos has a greater influence over humanity.
Absolutely.
Yes, but all things being equal, that's fantastic. But
It
the
is
people who
fantastic.
run the countries,
Yes.
there's a
shadow government.
There's a civil war going on
Yes.
in probably one be going on in America shortly when
Yes.
they all rise up against the very popular elected Trump. There's a civil war going over religion, a civil war going on every country on the planet.
Well, this calls.
How do
for-
people come together?
That's correct, Sam. That calls for the propaganda, the methods that they've been using for millennia,
Yes.
and millennia. And these forces are about propaganda, 1, 2, disinformation, and fear mongering. And this impact is these operations often erode the trust in these institutions, and people are finally waking up to the truth, which is there is nothing that divides us. We're all one being. We're all the same. irrespective of our cultures,
Okay.
our religions,
Well-
what we wear on the inside, what food we eat, what spices we put on our eggs and Benny. It does not matter.
Could I
We
bring
are
you closer to
all
home,
one.
Doc? So this
Absolutely.
is what ticks me off about the them and us with the Indigenous people in this country.
Yes.
We have two different flags.
Yes.
We get welcome to a country that we're all living in.
That's
The
correct.
people who welcome to us have been not on the planet half as long as I have.
Yes.
And we keep going on with dividing the country rather than everyone living in harmony and
That's
accepting where we came from, who we are, what was here before. But
That is
there's
correct.
a cottage industry of annoyance and angst and the
Absolutely.
vocal minority because it's money driven.
divide.
They do,
They
and this is
divide.
and people call me a racist because I say this. We're all one country, and what do we?
We're all one
why do we
country.
welcome anyone to our country when you go to a sporting event? What is that?
And
All
it's
that
not,
does is ticks
you
people
know what
off.
I mean when I say we're one country. I'm not even talking about Australia. I'm talking about all of Earth.
I know. I was
Have
talking
you
about
seen-
Australia.
Okay, lovely. I'm glad you're talking about Australia. I'm talking about the whole of Earth, the
Yes.
whole of Gaia, because I am Gaia. Gaia is Mother Earth, and I am one with Mother Earth, right? So when you look, and I know this is going really deep, Sam, when you look at all of the different nations all around the world, right, if you take it far, 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 far back, you look at the Egyptians, you look at the Sikhs and the Siddhis, you look at the Incas and the Mayas in the Mesoamerica, you look at all the beautiful temples across
Yes.
Asia and India and all of the beautiful places. Do you ever wonder
Valley
why
of
they
the
have so many?
Kings.
They have, yes, the goddess and goddesses, all
Yes.
the beautiful beings that have ever existed. Do you ever wonder what happened to them and how come they were so connected? They lived across so many vast different planes, across timelines and dimensions, but there's so much commonality between all of these things.
You were about to
Do you
say,
ever
have I
think of
ever
that?
wondered why it disappeared? Greed.
Oh, well,
Power,
yes. Some
domination.
of them did. Some of them did. There was the fall from Atlantis, and some of them did. And there's the Lemuria. There we go. Sam is looking around. Sam is looking around.
Not at all. No, I'm looking I'm just looking at a couple of questions I'm going to
Yes.
ask you.
Yes.
I am fascinated by it. I understand a very small part of what you're talking about, but I'm sure people
Yes.
will resonate with this because this seems to be now. So you say that you've got to be very careful of people who you think have good intentions, but like the CIA who run, you say, covert operations to instill instability in a fear-mongering so that
Instill
the
instability and
yes.
divide nations. And this isn't just the CIA. This is multiple different shadow figures
yes,
that have
this
existed
is
across
China
time
and
space.
Russia.
Yes, across time and
And
space. And I
Iran.
really don't want to put it down to one kind of organization because this is so many across spaces and timelines that have instilled fear, instilled greed, done things based on profit, and really
Greed.
that's the core of it all. And you know what that does? It brings up ethical concerns and lessons that we need to learn about the erosion of trust, the destabilizations, and the lack of moral accountability. All of these operations, all of these different things have done. I mean, look at Palestine. Look at what's happening to Palestine.
Yes.
Can you agree there's a genocide going on over there? Can you agree that there is
by the Israelis,
by the Zionists?
the
There's a
Zionists who
difference
are
between
yes,
Jews,
yes, and
beautiful
Zionists.
Jews,
yes, I understand
people
that.
who are
Yep.
cousins of Christianity and Islam, and there is the Zionists who have gone from
Yep.
the Balfour Declaration, who is
I do understand that.
Do you remember the Balfour Declaration? Have you read about it?
I've heard of the Balfour, and I understand the difference between Zionists and Jews. But just simply, here's my naivety, Doc. But simply speaking, on October the 7th, Hamas or Hezbollah
Palestinians, yeah,
attacked.
yeah.
For whatever reason, attacked and killed 1,300 Jews.
Was it 1,300?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
1,300.
Yeah.
Took 200 or 300 hostages.
Okay.
what would you expect a country? I have no skin in the game here. I'm not a supporter of either. But what would you expect a country who was given the land in 1948, the state of Israel, whether you agree with that or not is irrelevant. What would you expect the country to do that was attacked rather than go and bomb what they think is the unintended consequences of war is you'll kill plenty of children, you'll kill plenty of innocent people, but how do you quantify that?
How do you quantify that? I'm glad you brought up October 7th, because what happens is, what happened before October 7th? We have to ask ourselves, what actually transpired from 1945 or whatever year Jews came to Palestine? Now, if you look at history, Jews were expelled from Europe. They were not welcomed in Europe.
I understand.
Right? When they weren't welcomed in Europe, a few people came together and they started to brainstorm. They started to brainstorm and they sat together and said, where are we going to place all these Jews? What are we going to do with them? And you know what? Palestine was not the first place they were going to place them. They were going to place them in Africa.
Yes.
They were going to place them in other places around the world.
Yes.
But then somehow, with luck and divine
the
timing,
British and the
British, the Balfour
Europeans
Declaration
got together. Yes.
That's correct. They came together.
Are
and
you
they
a
put
Muslim?
a declaration. I am a Muslim. Yes.
So I'm not a Muslim and I'm not a Jew.
Do you know what Muslim means? Peaceful.
No, I wasn't. There wasn't it wasn't a loaded question.
No, go on.
But it wasn't a loaded question at all. Because a bit like the Jews and the Zionists, the Muslims get a pretty rough deal with the extremists and the jihadists. So I understand all that. But for whatever reason they were given the land
But you got to ask yourself, who was it given by? Who was it given by?
Yes.
Was it by the people? Was it by the people that owned the land? No, it was about by some white English dude
governments
who decided that they can have that land, and the land already belonged to a group of people.
I understand. I understand that.
So when we go
what's the
about
solution?
October 7th, now that's the issue.
All come
trying
together.
to find
You
a
reckon the
solution.
Jews and the Zionists and the Hamas and the
The
Hezbollah?
Jews are peaceful. The Zionists are not.
All right, so we've got
There's a
Hamas who
difference.
are violent, and
Correct.
we've got the
The
Zionists who are
Zionists
violent.
as
How would you
well.
get the Zionists and the Zionists and the Hamas? How would you get them to come together in peace and harmony and look at the cosmic influence that this planet offers? It's a pipe dream, Doc.
I love that question, Sam. Do you know why I love that question? It's because when you go out for a drive on your way home, how far away do you live? Just tell me the approximate time.
Oh, it's half an hour.
Half an hour,
yeah,
right?
So let's say that.
I
for
live
the
about
sake of
half
this
an hour.
discussion.
With traffic today was an
Yep.
hour, 20 minutes. I live 31 kilometers from here, from the studio,
Yeah.
right? Across that 31 kilometers, do you know how much empty, barren land there is that is enough for everyone?
Yes.
Do you know how much there is?
No, I have no idea, but
Abundance.
Yeah, I get-
Absolute abundance. Have you ever driven between Melbourne and Sydney? Have you ever driven between anywhere?
have you ever
two
driven
different
between Melbourne and Perth?
I have actually. I've done that drive.
Well,
I've done
you'll
that
find
drive.
that the
Across the Nullarbor border. I love the Nullarbor.
24 million people who live in this country
Yes.
predominantly live in 3 cities down the eastern seaboard. A few
Exactly.
of them over on the west coast, and in the
Exactly.
middle you
There
could
is
put the
just
whole of the world's
vast
population. But what is
Exactly,
the
Sam.
why are we saying that?
My point is there is nothing but abundance
Of
in
what?
all of
Land.
land.
But you need
And they're
water, and you need
fighting.
power, and you need production of
fighting them.
food and.
So just to entertain my thought right now.
What's that?
Entertain my thoughts right now. If the Australian government,
all your thoughts, Doc. Don't worry about that.
thank you. If the Australian government was to say, "Hey," to Palestinians or to the beautiful Jewish community in Israel who are trying to take land that is rightfully theirs or not,
This will be
I
good.
don't care.
I know what you're going to
I
say.
don't care. If they were to say, "Hey, we have vast amounts of land that is unpopulated, fertile, beautiful. Australia is a beautiful country.
Yes.
What do you think is going to happen? Are they going to flock here? Are they going to flock here? Either or. Are they going to flock here?
Are you
Say hypothetically, we offer them the land.
Yes.
We offer them farming capabilities. I mean, the Palestinians have had farming capabilities for millennia because
So
that's
let's
how we
say they're going to
existed.
flock here. You think they will?
Let's say we offer them that the opportunity to
Why
flock
would we
here,
offer them that?
right? Why would we?
Yes.
Why would we?
Yeah, I'm asking you that. Why would we offer the people
Because
who
there's
are displaced and
atrocities.
disgruntled?
They are displaced, just like me, just like I was, just like my family was.
That's right. So I'm I'm being the devil's advocate, but I'm right. I'm with you. So just say we offered all the people that wanted to come here and populate the middle of Australia and somehow provide them power and water and living and a standard and
Power
means of
exists.
production.
That's a whole different conversation. Power
hang-
exists in abundance, and they silenced Nikola Tesla because he figured that out, and they want profit and greed, and they took down.
Well, how does power?
all of
How does power?
Power
where's
as in
the abundance
electricity.
of power? Well, where's
It
that?
comes from the ether. It comes from frequency. It comes from frequency. So there are 5 elements, right?
Yes.
There's earth, air, fire,
Yes.
yes,
Mm.
water, and ether. Ether is spirit. Ether is the space between
Right.
all things. Ether is the thing that exists inside of nucleus between all the protons and the neutrons, right?
So
And
in
the
the
electrons.
spirit of harmony and getting on with everyone, why would the people here who have
Yes.
worked all their life,
Yes.
pay taxes
That's right.
for the standard of living they have
Yeah.
their taxes diverted to setting up a colony of people who want to escape from where they are? And why would their taxes and money go to providing that? That would be a huge
Maybe it
reason
can be a
for
choice.
disgruntled.
Maybe it can be a choice. Like, let me ask you something. Do you know where our taxes go? Do you know where the Americans' tax dollars go? Have you read about the military-industrial complex and how much of our money is already being divided and assigned to weapons, and
Yes.
killing machines
Yes.
that are killing children, men and women
Yes.
who are doing nothing to deserve that?
Yes, the people.
Now I ask you this question. Why can't we, instead of using that money from our tax to fund war, to fund weapons, to fund bullets, to fund killing machines, why can't we use that to for health, for establishing good education
Doc,
systems?
may I suggest
Go on.
that the greatest form of defence is strength, and if we diverted, or America, or the politicians who are part of the industrial complex that make all these weapons, the military, and there's plenty of them, Republican leaders and people who back them.
Too many.
So hang
Too
on.
many.
So
Yes, what's your
if you divest yourself of all that in the name of harmony and milk and honey flowing down the footpaths in the
Yes.
name of spirit and the cosmos, don't think people won't take up the slack on the other side of the world, like the Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians, who have said that they just want to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. They make no pretense about it. They say if they can develop a nuclear bomb, that's what they'll do. How do you get to those people and tell them not to exploit the fact that maybe America or Europe are into your harmony plan, but the other side of the world aren't?
I can understand where your question is coming from, but you can't fight war with war. You have to fight it with peace.
But that is.
But see,
It's
that's
a
what they
great
want us
statement,
to do. That's
but
what
that
they
is
want us to
just-
do, Sam. That's what they want us to do.
Who does?
They want us, the shadow government. They want us to
Which
live
government?
in fear, the shadow government.
Yes.
Right? They want us to live in fear, in fear-mongering. They want us to live in anxiety. They want us to live in a state of absolute greed.
Yes.
And we are nothing but abundant in everything and anything that we want, right? And when we embody that, we are spirit, we
Yes.
are the creator, we are the alpha and the omega,
Yes, all that.
we are the source, we are the omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient source.
Omnipotent,
We
all-powerful,
will-
I
yes,
understand.
all-powerful creator. That is the one. We are all part of
I am
the
so
one.
much in agreement agreement with what you're talking about. I'm just saying the practicalities of it, they're just not logical, because the people you're trying to placate and trying to have come around to that way of thinking have no interest in that, because they're either ignorant, they're uneducated, they're complete zealots, they are guided by whatever God they follow. It's a pie in the sky dream.
Pie in the sky. But it starts with each and every one
It
of us.
does.
It really does, Sam. It starts with each and every one of us. It really does. I can't stress that enough. I want to ask you, your neighbor, how often do you say hello to them? How often do you knock their door and say, "Hey, how are you? I made a muffin. I made some muffins. Would you like some of the extra ones?"
No, I never do that, but I see them in
Never
the
do that,
elevator in the little dog
right?
box I live in,
It's-
go and I say hello to them, and I say hello to all the people I live in my
It really
area.
starts with each and every one of us, Sam. And you know what? It starts with each and every one of us, and it starts with loving the people around us.
So do you reckon? So all right. So
Simple things.
do you reckon the
How many Yes.
Ayatollah Khamenei
Yes.
would, when he's over at
Khomeini.
Khamenei, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, you would know.
Yes.
Doc, do you reckon when he's over at the United Nations, when they bulletproof his car and they fly him over and he's got security because, you know, you have idiots that want to... do you think that there's a likelihood one day he'll pick the phone up and he'll say, Netanyahu, he knows, is there at the United Nations, pick up and say, "Hey, listen, you wouldn't like to get together, would you, and have a coffee with me, Mr. Netanyahu? This is the Ayatollah Khamenei. Would you like to have a coffee with us?" Do you reckon that's a likelihood? It is never going to happen, is it? And you talk about this, that's where it would start. If those two leaders of the two fighting nations could possibly, in the spirit of the cosmos and harmony and the betterment of the world, get together and put their differences aside for a half-hour chat, can you see that happening ever?
I have, okay, and let
You
me tell
can.
you, I absolutely have, because this is on your news and everyone can search this at home. In 2002, there was an Arab peace initiative to bridge the gap between the Jews and the Muslims and the Arabs in Palestine to establish a two-state resolution, and this happened in Beirut, Lebanon. This was a summit. This was in 2002, and it was one of the most notable efforts on behalf of the Arabs and the Muslims. And Israel withdrew from territories it occupied, some of them, and there was a problem with the UN General Resolution, and some problems happened and people went against it, and this is what the whole ICJ hearing is about with South Africa. So people have tried time and time again to establish peace, to establish a two-state resolution, because you know what, Sam, I bet this is news to a lot of people. Christians, Jews, Muslims, Yazidis, Mandeans, all sorts of nations, all sorts of cultures, all sorts of religious beliefs have existed in those lands for thousands and thousands
and thousands
of years.
Do you know who the greatest promoter of what you're talking about is?
Who?
Is Donald Trump. Donald Trump. I know. Let me tell you about Donald Trump. He instigated the Abraham Accord, which was...
Absolutely. I love the Abraham Accord.
So he went over and met Kim Jong-il from North Korea, stepped onto the soil of North Korea, called him Little Rocket Man, tried to you keep your friends close to you and you keep your enemies closer.
Absolutely.
He didn't befriend, but he went and spoke to Putin. He'll go and speak to Zelensky. He'll go and speak to the leaders of Hamas and Israel, and he'll say what you're talking about. He'll say, could we stop killing everyone?
Yes.
We will find a solution to this.
Absolutely.
He should have won 2 or 3 Nobel Prizes.
That's
but they won't do it because they hate his guts, because he calls them out for what they are. They're
but
corrupt
you know what? That's
and
correct.
illegitimate people.
That's exactly my message today. Corruption goes so deep. And you know what, Sam? This goes way beyond that. From 1940s to the 1950s, King Abdullah of Jordan actually tried to bridge peace. King Abdullah was one of the most founding peace initiatives there. He sought to initiate that peace between the Arabs and the Jews, and that was about 1948 when the Arab and Israeli war was happening. And he communicated with the Zionist leaders, and I think it was Golda Meir, to propose the bi-national state for peaceful coexistence plan. After that, there was Camp David Accords in 1978. That's the one that you're mentioning with President Jimmy Carter.
Yep.
After that, there was from fast forwarding
they
a little
get
bit,
nowhere. They get
93
nowhere.
to 95. It was the Oslo Accords with Jordan and peace treaty again. That was the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO. They tried to do that, and they started in the West Bank. I'm not sure.
So all these have been tried and they've failed. I'm telling you this.
Now tell me
Doctor.
something. I have mentioned a few of these now, and I would like you. And this is not mentioning the Arab League summits on Palestine or the recent efforts in 2000, or the grassroots and other interfaith dialogues. I want you to tell me something right now. All of these things, what do you think happened at the end of it when the Arabs and the Muslims tried to initiate bi-national peace with the Zionists? I'm not going to say Jews.
It was scuttled by someone for whatever reason.
Absolutely. And do you know why?
No.
Do you know why?
No.
Because of profit and greed. Because of the military-industrial complex. Because if that doesn't continue, then...
Who is the only president in the history of the United States that hasn't presided over a war or tried to start one? Donald Trump. I'm telling you this. I'm telling you
He's
this.
a businessman at heart.
I'm telling you this.
He's a businessman
Doctor,
at heart, yes.
He will, with his relationship with Russia and Ukraine, he will broker a peace deal there somehow. He will go to Hezbollah or Hamas and Israel, and he'll broker a peace deal there, because at the end of the day, he will build up his military in America and saying, if you don't come together in the name of peace and try and organise this, we will. He's just threatened Hamas. If they don't release all the hostages before he takes over as president, they won't know what's hit him.
Has he equally told the Zionists to stop killing people, women and children, to stop bombing them, to stop starving them, to let medical aid in? Has he done that?
Doc, I don't know.
But it goes two ways, right? It goes two ways.
Of course it does.
It goes two ways. Because it
I
didn't start on October 7th. It started long before that. It started long before that.
I did say I have no skin in the game. I'm not browbeating you about
That's okay.
your side of what it is. I'm just saying he has sent Mike Huckabee to Israel as the ambassador, and he will say to Mike Huckabee, to tell what's his name, the president, the Prime Minister of Israel, just forgot. What you say? Yeah, he will say, Mike Huckabee, he will say to Netanyahu, you get together, you stop doing all that, and we will get the hostages back, and we will broker a peace. It's been, as you said, it's been going on since 1948. Yeah, it's been going on and on.
It did not start on October 7th. People cannot start on the season 22 and say they know the story. That's the problem with the general population.
I'm not saying I know the story. I'm just saying it came to a head when 1,300 people were slaughtered.
How many Palestinians have died?
No, I'm on your side. I'm not taking sides.
Because if we're putting up numbers of how many Jew people have died, we have to consider how many Palestinians. How many Jewish people have died. Then we have to consider how many Muslims have died, how many Christians have died who have lived in Palestine for thousands and thousands of years.
You think I'm on the side of the Jewish? I'm not at all.
I think you're on the side of peace.
I of course.
Yes.
I am saying.
And who wouldn't want to be?
I am saying through Hamas's action of killing 1,300 people. I know when it started, and it started thousands of years before that, you would expect Israel to retaliate. They have retaliated in spades, and they have been shocking in most of the things they've done in the name of rooting out the leaders of Hamas and Hezbollah.
That's
they
correct.
have taken out women and children. I understand all
That's
that.
correct.
So at some stage, a statesman like Donald Trump will get those people together and say, he will say, will he not? like he will with Ukraine and Russia. He said that he will stop those wars because he's not a warmonger. He has no investments in the greater military complex. He genuinely wants peace. He's never been part of or started a war. He says we should be strong in the military so that would be a deterrent. Strength is a deterrent, but he's never attacked or sent his troops in to do anything. He has killed a couple of the leaders of Iran who...
That's correct. They assassinated them.
Yep, they did.
Assassinated them,
They did because they are assassinating, they're killing, they threaten and kill. So this is fantastic what you're saying. No, it is.
I want to actually tell people this something that just came to mind. There is a documentary called Tantura. That's Tantura, and it's a 2022 documentary directed by Iran Refugee. And this person investigates the alleged massacre of Palestinians. I shouldn't say alleged because there is proof, and you will be able to see that in the documentary. And it started with the Israeli forces. I don't want to call them Israeli. I want to say Zionist forces in the village of Tantura during 1948, which is a village in Palestine. And this film delves into the events surrounding the village's depopulation and killing and genocide, and it examines the broader reluctance within the Zionist society to confront and discuss the Nakba in Arabic, which describes the mass displacement that occurred during that period. Right now, in this documentary, Teddy Katz, which is a former graduate student from the University of Haifa, who in the late 1990s conducted extensive interviews suggesting that the massacre had taken place in Tantura in 1948. He found that this controversial libel lawsuit resulted in the retraction of his theses. Now, this is something you can find online. I'm not bringing anything from my own mind. In the Tantura documentary, the features interviews former Israeli soldiers and Palestinian residents, Palestinian people, indigenous people of the land, with varied perspectives on the event and exploring the complexities of the memories of the historical events that took place then, right? And in this, I really want to get the viewers across this, and I really would love for people to go and watch this. It's a really just a courageous exploration of the sensitive chapters of the Zionists' history and all that happens, because it reevaluates the standards of truth, interrogation of the Israelis, dismissal of the events that began, that are really just controversial and compelling conversations about Tantura, the village Tantura. Now, this documentary is available. It's available on YouTube and people can watch it. But you know what? I want to mention another thing. You know how you mentioned there was 1,300 or 13,000? I'm not sure what the number you just mentioned. 1,300, right?
People killed
on October 7th. This documentary explores atrocities. Israeli Zionist soldiers were opening up bellies of pregnant Palestinian women and playing guess games if it was a male or a female fetus in their belly.
This is what happens. The unintended consequence of war is the fact that you have brutal and animalistic people fighting on both sides.
That's correct.
I know all that.
That's
Doc.
correct.
That's correct. So I let you go with that. Sound like a sort of a political announcement about, but you seem to think that you're trying to convince me. You seem
I'm
to
not
be
trying to convince anyone of anything.
You seem to be fighting me as if I'm on the side of someone I'm not on.
Not at all.
All I'm saying is what you read out then would be absolutely refuted by the other side who would read that.
It's in a documentary. It's in a documentary.
So the document. The spoils of war are only written by the winners. You never hear the other side of it. I would bet you that the people who looked at that documentary, if it wasn't, if it was against
it's a documentary by a Jewish person. A Jewish person made this documentary.
I'm just saying.
Who's an actual European? Who's an initial European? Ilan Schwartz.
I'm just saying to you that the people who wish to dispute all that, to put their propaganda forward, would, and this is where it just goes round
Well, it's a
and
question
round.
of truth, isn't it?
Well, whose truth?
The eternal truth. There is
Yeah.
only one truth. How can there be multiple versions of the truth? If there is multiple versions of the truth, then it wouldn't be true.
Who decides what the truth is? I just said to you, and I'm going to say it again, and I can only stress, I'm not a supporter of anyone, that if a group of people fly through hang gliders in over the territory, and for whatever reason, and they might be justified in doing, but if they fly hang gliders and break down the walls and shoot and kill and disfigure, or not disfigure, take hostages, what would you expect? The country that has been attacked, the state of Israel, what would you expect them to do? They would retaliate, and then it just
because they have the right to defend themselves, right?
What?
They have the right to defend themselves, right?
Yes.
So Israel has the right to defend itself, right?
Yes.
Don't the Palestinians that have been that have been kept in an open air prison have the right to defend themselves?
Yes, of course.
With even
of
water,
course.
even
No,
water
no,
is trickled down. Even the basic necessities are not allowed in.
of
Health,
cour-
food is not allowed.
You're preaching to the converted. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying to you that in order to go to the next level, if you don't allow Israel or the country that was attacked in when they lost 1,300 people on October the 7th, they will retaliate, and then it just snowballs. They try and eradicate the people who organised that coup. They kill women and children.
And have they done so? Have they done so? Or have they carpet bombed an entire nation?
Yes, they've carpet bombed an entire nation.
Correct. Correct. But have they killed the Hamas?
They're trying to. They're trying to. Why am I defending them? I'm just saying that's.
Why are you defending them?
Well, because this
maybe
is
we should start there.
No, because I'm not defending them.
Okay.
But it's just too simplistic to say, oh well, we think that the leader of the Hamas person lives in this flat because they're living under a hospital, and that's why they do it, because they know no one will attack a hospital.
But they bombed all of the hospitals now. They bombed all the Christian
that's
churches.
What the other sides, because that's probably where they think their headquarters are. That they secrete themselves.
All of them.
Doc.
All of them.
I'm.
I mean, let's say hypothetically, Palestine and Hamas takes the same approach to Israel.
Yes.
And they go bombing their hospitals. And
but they can't, because they don't have the military power to do it.
Okay. Well, now we're talking. Why don't they have the military power to do it?
Because they're
so
not.
So who is in power?
Because they're not as sophisticated. They don't have as sophisticated weapons.
That's right.
Because the United States supplies.
Supplies. There we go. There we go. Now we're getting
what do you
somewhere.
Mean, there we go. As if I'm not
States.
backing. I'm not backing Israel, or I'm not backing America. That's why Israel are able to repel any attack, because they.
That's right. Because they're supplied
by America.
By America. And why does America supply these things to them?
Because I'm just making this up, but probably they supply them because they're the only democratic country in the region that they hang their hat on. I don't know. I'm not for Israel. I'm not for America. I'm not for Palestine or Hamas. I'm just saying this is where all this just becomes a whole lot of gobbledygook, Doc. So I'm just before this. I'm just going to ask you these things. You say the human consciousness of extraterrestrial contact, the human, I think this is right, I wrote this down.
Go on.
The human consciousness of extraterrestrial context is what, the context of this is that there's a greater presence out there.
There's a greater presence out there.
And we all should embrace it.
We all should
And
embrace
the reason we're having these discussions about Hamas and Israel and bombing and attacking
and war.
is that, is that no one except you can have 95% of the population in all the world agrees with this. I agree with it. But unless you have the other 5% willing to forego what they think is their right and what they think is their religion and what they think is their country, it's never going to happen. How do you get to those 5%?
Well, we love one another. We practice peace every day in every single action.
Do you think?
This is it starts on a micro level, Sam. It starts on a micro level, and bit by bit.
Do you know what you should do? You should get in touch with Netanyahu. You should get in touch.
People have tried. My people have tried.
Hang on, I'm theoretically.
Go
You
on.
should get in touch with Netanyahu, and then you should get in touch with the Ayatollah Khamenei, and you should say, gentlemen, or boys, or you people, would you like to meet me? And we'll see if we can actually have an area of détente, of harmony and peace, of extraterrestrial content
Oh, I
and
love that.
context. And do you think those two people would sit opposite one another and say, you know, this has been going on for thousands of years. Do you think we could bring it to a head and stop this? Do you think that's ever going to happen? Because that's the only way it's going to happen. And if the Ayatollah or Netanyahu said to their people, they said, righto, everyone, we've had a meeting, I've had a meeting, and we're going to not worry about any more of this. We're going to live in harmony, and the world will be a better place. Do you think that'll ever happen?
I think there is
will
a
never happen. You know that.
I think that I have a hope and a wish for peace, and I think it is possible if we all start doing things that align with love and light and choosing peace over everything. And that's not, you know, it happens on a micro level and then it emanates on a macro level. So let's say you're out for a walk. Let's go back to that walk theory again, Sam.
Yes.
And you're saying hello to people, you're smiling.
Yes.
And then they go and say hello to people and they smile.
Yes.
And you take muffins to your neighbor and say, hello, neighbor.
Yep. Do you think if Netanyahu had some muffins in a knapsack and he met the Ayatollah Khamenei on the banks of the Yarra River and he said, you're the Ayatollah. And he said, I am. He said, I'm Benjamin Netanyahu. Would you like to have a scone and sit down here and have a cup of tea with me? Do you think, theoretically, if you just take that to the nth degree?
I think so.
Do you?
I think so. I think so. I think it can happen.
Well.
Do you know why? Because we're all beings of light. We're all beings of love. And we're all part of one. Fractals that are experiencing each other from different facets.
We're finishing this now because it's been, just a minute. So you came out here from Iraq, you escaped the war-torn country that you probably loved and embraced and thought there's no future here for me. You came over here. How did you start this journey of what you're on about?
Self-actualization.
How did you start this? Were you doing this over in Iraq?
I know. I was a kid in Iraq. I came here when I was like 8 years old.
Okay.
I was a baby. I was a kid.
Right?
So it's about self-actualization. Self-actualization is about
Just Mr. Greer.
Questioning things. This is not even about Dr. Greer.
No,
this is about each and every one of us. This is about each and every one of us questioning everything around us and questioning why is that like that.
So you've come in here today, and I'm delighted.
Thank you.
I'm going to say this. I don't care if this is politically correct. You're a charming, good-looking human being.
Thank you.
You've come in here today. And as I said, as you will obviously know, I know very little about this, but I've been fascinated to chat to you. I'm wondering what mission you're on. Are you an evangelist? Are you going around?
Evangelist.
No. Well, what you know?
Well, we're all one. Our Creator is one. We are all one. We're made of.
What are you a
nothing
doctor
but
of?
love
What are
and
you studying to be?
Oh God, I've left that long behind.
Oh well, so you're not a doctor. You're not studying to be a doctor. What do you do then?
Not anymore. At
do you
the
go
moment,
around promoting what you're talking about?
no, not quite.
Are you married?
No.
Oh, no, so what is your vocation? What do you do?
What is my vocation at
Vocation.
the moment? Vocation at the
What?
moment. I am clinical research, working
Of
clinical
what?
research.
On the cosmos?
No, just in human clinical research.
And
Phase 1 to 4 clinical
and
trials.
please don't. And who is your
We should
employer?
cut that out. We should. I'm not employed right now. We should cut that out.
No, that's not
No, I was working. I was working, to be honest. I was working interstate in Queensland, but then I went traveling Southeast Asia for a little while.
Well, I'll tell you what. It was suggested by a mutual friend of ours that I speak to you. I absolutely find this fascinating, and I know you'll think, because if you say something, I'll just ask the obvious question that someone would say, well, why? So I'm not disputing anything you say.
No, I'm glad you asked, because it makes people think I should ask why.
No, I'm not disputing it. I'm not disputing anything about the savagery of both sides of what's going on in the Middle East and the savagery of what's going on in Syria and Russia and Iran. I'm not disputing any of that. I'm going to give your name out again. Kasak El Khazali.
Yasak Al-Khazali,
Kasak
that's
El
correct.
Khazali,
That's correct.
known as Gigi. I'm calling you doctor. You have been. This has been an ordeal for me because as I said at the start, I'm very, very shakily across any of this. But you have enlightened me about what's going on, and I appreciate you coming in to speak
Thank
to us
you.
on You Cannot Be Serious.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
give you one final say.
One
I don't
final
care
say.
if it's a paid political announcement. I don't care.
Paid political.
Go ahead.
I'm not on any paid political agenda.
Go ahead.
But I am just guiding. I think it's just really a process of guiding ourselves and others back to the heart. It's not just about individual healing. It's about the collective awakening. It's about remembering that at our core, we are one humanity, one creation, united by the same essence of love, respect, and harmony. The struggles of light and dark, both within us and in the world, offer profound opportunities for growth, connection, and transformation. And this journey, let's journey it together into the idea, using the wisdom of the movie Avatar, being guided back to the Avatar movie.
No, I'm just having the last word now. So, if you could get the people who are prolonging wars around this world to embrace what you just read out, then we're laughing. I'm telling you, I'm suggesting to you, Doc, this will never happen. But because it's never happened in the 2000
it will happen. It will happen because there is a
2024
mass.
years we've been on the planet.
That's correct, but it will happen because there is a mass awakening happening
Right.
to return back to 0 point awareness.
Did you hear me saying I was having the last word? Well, I'm thanking you very much. You're a star. Just a minute. We're just finishing it off here. So we always finish with "Come Back Again." This is the
Come back again.
This is called "Come Back Again." Thank you so much.
Lovely.